goes. Oh, here we are. In the new digs.
Hey. What's up? Is the intro still going on? That intro music was pretty fucking crazy. Everybody, welcome to Delta Phi, the new digs, with your hosts, Daniel, aka Cryptomessiah.
Oh, I thought you were cheering me in there.
Also, we have Rob Levy here and Colin, aka RandomTask 555. I'm sure some of you guys have been watching my streams already. I'm sure some of you guys have been watching Colin's stream on the Hxro Labs YouTube for a while. And the purpose of this stream is actually a lot of things. If you like church, we are going to talk shitcoins. We are going to talk psychology. We are going to talk charts, whatever you guys want to talk about. But we're also going to be talking just shit as well. We're going to have some good banter, get people's takes on different things. Today's episode being the first one, we're not going to have any guests or anything like that on. But in future episodes, you can expect... Are we not removing my background too? Oh, I need a green. Okay, whatever. I've got an artificial green screen. I'll work on that. But anyway, future episodes, you can expect, us to have some guests on here and stuff like that. Also, a big part of the stream is going to be you, the audience. We are going to talk about kind of what you guys want to talk about. So anything and everything you guys want to talk about, the size of my poo this morning, what time I went to bed, what kind of weed people are smoking, whatever you guys want to talk about, we're going to talk about it and we're going to have a good time. So welcome. I'll go ahead and let the other hosts introduce themselves.
What's going on, guys?
Yeah.
You're up, Rob.
All right. I'm Rob.
We scripted this.
I'm Rob Levy. I'm a co-founder, president of Hxro. I am a lifetime degenerate trader. Cut my teeth in the trading pits in Chicago at the CBOE starting in 2001, and then spent several years across the street at the Chicago Board of Trade, or what we call the CME after they bought them. So I love price action. I love volatility. I love trading that shit. And yeah, got some great stories. Got a lot of experience under my belt here. Not nearly as much crypto experience as Messi over there, but I learned from him. So it's great to be here with you guys. Anything you want to know from me, shoot me messages. We'll cover it.
Sounds good. How's it going, guys? RT here, Hxro Labs host, Hxro Labs Live. We're pivoting this week, which is really exciting. We had a good chat yesterday. We're just like, why don't we just all go on there every week? Wednesdays. So that's our new vibe, new set. And couldn't be more excited. We do a lot of charts. You guys know me, like to focus on charts. I get a lot of my FA on some of my shitcoins from Messi. So it's nice to have him right here in the studio. We don't have to, worry about me missing things. I just ask him right here on the air. What's in your bag, mate? Stuff like that. And so we're going to invite some people on, have a good time. And, I think probably have some other stuff coming up on the channel with some of this extra time on my hands. I'm going to get a few videos up, so it'll be good.
Good shit. Rock and roll. Now, I'm sure you guys are watching Bitcoin right now. Of course, this is definitely an day. I'll just do that one more time for you guys, because I'm sure somebody's going to clip this and make a meme of it. But, come on. I'm really fucking excited. I'm sitting here. I'm watching Bitcoin go up. I made the comment on Twitter yesterday that I haven't felt the dopamine rush in a week. And it can really suck ass not feeling that dopamine rush, especially after the amount of dopamine we've all been getting since early January. The feeling where you're probably using Blackfolio. It's the best portfolio tracker app. But, refresh. And every time you fucking refresh it, that number is just going up. Right now we're seeing, of course, Bitcoin take the lead. It's really looking like to me that we are going to see Bitcoin break Ethereum out versus the dollar. And I do think that Ethereum then could accelerate and could outperform Bitcoin. with that as a catalyst. I'm curious to think about what the other hosts think, because if you look on Twitter, there's so many fucking opinions. There's a huge lack of conviction. Some people are trying to short every time Bitcoin pops because they think it's a fake. Some people are flip-flopping. I'm bearish alts, now I'm bullish alts. And to be quite honest, nobody really knows what's about to happen next, because if we did, we'd all be rich as fuck, right? But the idea here is to have a thesis, form convictions around it, and then to of course act on those convictions. May the best man win, right?
That's true. I think you bring up a really great point there, and something you said. You said, Bitcoin's absolutely ripping, and it appears that Bitcoin is going to break Ethereum out against the dollar. I mean, that to me that's brilliance there, because we're at an interesting time here in the crypto market. I mean, there is literally a whole new generation of degenerate crypto traders. And these crypto traders, they've never traded an alt BTC pair. I mean, think about it. There is a generation of new traders who only trade alt USD futures or alt USDT, USDC pairs. They're only looking at alts and USD terms. But I think the guys who have been around for multiple generations, like you, Messi, we know that that's only half the picture. It might be 2/3 of the picture, half, but I'd be curious your thoughts. The market seems to move a little differently with Bitcoin now, knowing that these alts are, it's just purely degenerates on the USD pairs. They're not even really looking at BTC pairs. Are you feeling that too, or is that?
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling a little bit of that. And another interesting dynamic of this cycle, relative to last cycle, is that there's a lot more people trading derivatives products. A lot more people trading derivatives products. I'm sure you guys almost shit yourself last Sunday or Saturday or whenever that was, because I certainly did. When we saw a lot of altcoins, had those 30%, 40% wicks to the downside. And you have to start asking yourself, because that doesn't seem typical. I don't feel like, at least, and maybe I've just forgotten, that we saw that kind of price action in 2017. But the reality is that a lot of these apes are on exchanges like FTX, like Binance Futures, and they are longing their longs. And a lot of these guys look, you can make so much fucking money longing your longs. It's insanity. But there is a caveat to this, because at a certain point in time, they are going to flush your ass down the drain. And if you are not protected, if your downside is not protected, if you are over leveraged, it doesn't matter how much money you made over the last month. Imagine even you're on cross margin or something like that, and your whole account is leveraged, you're going to get flushed. And that's exactly what happens. I think I saw somewhere that there was $1.5 billion in liquidations on Aave. A shit coin.
God.
It's not a shit. It's everything that's not Bitcoin I call a shit coin. Let's just get that clear before anybody gets their panties in a wad. But it's insanity to actually see that. We did not see that kind of shit happening in 2017. And things like that to me signal that this is an entirely different beast. As they say, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And we're rhyming in the sense that we still have the same kind of dynamics affecting this cycle, the same emotions affecting this cycle. But the amount of participants in this cycle, fuck's sake, 2 weeks ago, Kraken had to shut down their signups. They had 5 times the all-time high of their daily signups from 2017 in one day. They had to shut their shit down. They had 4 years to scale, and even with that, they couldn't scale properly. That's just how many people are coming into crypto right now who are trading these assets. And to be quite honest, and you get flamed, for saying this honestly a lot of places, but I do think that we are relatively early in this cycle, if not shifting from the earlier to the middle stages of the cycle as I speak. And in just thinking about that, because the acceleration of a cycle is something that's somewhat logarithmic. The acceleration of a cycle is something that where if you went 2x in 1 month, as the cycle accelerates, you might bang out another 5x and then another 10x on top of that. There's really no telling where this goes, but I do think that there's a lot of upside to grab here. And it's astounding to me and almost reassuring to me that there's still the amount of fear on social media, at least right now, because people are so, butthurt from the last bear market. I know they are because I certainly am. And I have those exact fears. People think that, oh, he's an OG, he's been here for a while, so he doesn't feel these things. He doesn't experience these things. Trust me, I do. And they're not even muted. I experience them just as much as you. It's just in my interpretation of those emotions, my reaction to those emotions, that I see that like, holy shit, like there could be a lot of upside, like people's lives could change right now. And they're not even aware that it's about to happen. So the big question is here, are you going to sell too early or are you going to sell too late? Because the probability is that you are going to sell too early or too late. One of those two things. Very few people sell at just the right time.
Unless you just keep selling all year. That's the rotation game that I've been playing right now. And I've been, like last weekend, I talked a lot about taking on a cash position. I was like 40% cash for the first time in a long time on Sunday night. And then I was like, you know what, fuck it. I think Bitcoin, technically it all looked like, oh, we'll break down from here. Fundamentally, it all looked like we'll break up. Fundamentals are strong. Trend is up. I'm leaning bullish, but I'll take that 40% cash position at a big buy stop at 50K after it got swept that Monday morning. And I'm just like, or Tuesday morning, I was like, fuck it, let's go. And it filled last night, it dumped $500 right after, but then I wake up, of course, it's 51. Now it's 52 and a half. Once we stabbed into 50K, and I should just switch, I had algo up here because you're talking about margins. Nobody talked about this, but this was a complete wipe of the entire Binance margin right here.
Wow.
And I actually
took out those stops too.
Oh, it took up everything. Like if you had margin on Binance, this was gone. And it was kind of telling because I actually tried to borrow to get more algo right back here, and it wasn't letting me. It was like, oh yeah, 5x margin. It was giving me 1.5x. So there's like, we're out of algo. So it's almost like housekeeping. They're like, yeah, let's just flush the books and have a nice day. Who knows what's going on there, but it was sketch. Anyways, let's look at Bitcoin because once this swept, I know. And we've got a long way to go, even until like the most reasonable next price targets up here at the Chaos, the fib extension. They paint a nice little box at like 57. So, we're talking about a 5K move and it looks like a vacuum. This kind of consolidation.
Straight up magnet, bro. To see an ascending wedge like that break up is just testament to how fucking bullish this market is.
It's so strong. So after this last night, we broke 50K. Then we swept 50K on the Tuesday morning open. Basically, it was like the Monday open for the week. And then dumped. And I thought, man, if we touch 50K again, we're gone. And so that's why I just went on Twitter. I said, look, we got to get that buy stop in here. I'm heavy cash because if it's fucking real, I sold the top. I got 1K risk to the upside, and then we're back in. That was a risk I was willing to take. It was a great trade. I'm happy with it.
These fucking order books, guys. Fucking Bitcoin order books, they're literal air pockets for multiple hundreds of dollars. There is just not the liquidity that we're used to for the last 3 years when we were meandering between 5,000 and 15,000. There was some thickness there. This is a ghost town. We literally could see $1,000 moves in the blink of an eye.
Like it's nothing. There definitely is a sell side liquidity crisis on Bitcoin, and what actually amplifies that is all of this institutional money. And I've talked about this, ad nauseum on my own stream. But when you think about institutional money, that was the meme, that was the dream for the entirety of 2017. Institutional money is coming in, and it just so happens that the top was kind of the first little taste, and when I say taste, just a drop of flavor on the tongue of any kind of institutional activity on Bitcoin. And that was the Bitcoin CME listing, right? I still remember how fucking fired up everybody was for that, because that was literally the dream. And here we are. And it's honestly surreal when you have Fortune 500 companies. You've got people like Tesla that are buying $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. There really is infinite bid, and there's just not that much Bitcoin up for sale, because Bitcoin is the ultimate cult. Bitcoin is the ultimate religion. These guys aren't selling their Bitcoin. They're not selling their Bitcoin at 50. They're not selling their Bitcoin at 70. They're not going to be selling their Bitcoin at 200. So you look at things like the stock to flow model, and I do think that there's some truth to that model. But you also look at stock to flow, which I believe said that 10,000 was the target for the last run, and we overshot that by double. So I absolutely think that there is a possibility here for a face melt to 200K plus. Is it a certainty? No, but does that possibility exist? Absolutely.
I've been saying, I've been saying for at least this last year, we're seeing much more crazy, impressive moves on some of the most widely followed assets on Earth. Like Tesla has 10x'd since the beginning of 2020. I mean, for Bitcoin to 10x from 10,000, 15,000, that's 100,000, 150,000. And it wouldn't even be much more impressive. It would arguably be less impressive than what Tesla's done, because Tesla makes cars. We can really model exactly what their cash flow is. Well, now it's a little tougher now that they own 1.5 billion of Bitcoin, but like everyone's following that, and it 10x'd. This 10xing would be not even as impressive. So I agree. We could see face melting crazy shit, and it really wouldn't be crazy to some of us.
And one of the things too, which I think is understated, of course we do have institutional money flow into Bitcoin, but we also have institutional money flow into Ethereum. And that's very clear. When you look at the Grayscale Ethereum Trust, and you see on many instances recently, the inflows to the Ethereum Trust far outweigh the inflows to the Bitcoin Trust. And I do believe that shows maybe not the same institutional interest in Ethereum. I haven't at least heard of any companies adding Ethereum to the balance sheet, but it does show that, there are funds, big money that are very interested in Ethereum. And not only that, I've heard rumors that Grayscale is going to be launching maybe a Uniswap trust, maybe a Sushi trust, shitcoin trust, like legit shitcoin trust. And these are going to be on-ramps for really, really, really big money to come in and get involved with the future of finance. Even with all of that being set to the side, we still have the trickle down effects of the real big boy institutional money hitting Bitcoin, and that money that people make trickling down into altcoins. And I've heard 100 different, times, oh, altcoin season's not going to happen again. Alt season's not going to happen again. It's different this time. It's different this time. But the reality is that nothing has changed, because alt season is purely a byproduct of human greed. And humans are just as greedy as ever. Come on.
I was just gonna say that it hasn't changed because humans haven't changed.
It is a vehicle.
It's a vehicle that can be used to make money, and whales understand that. People understand that. I was talking to Rob last time he was on the show. I said, like, who are these guys putting these bottoms in the market? You see the buy volume flowing into every single altcoin the same week, and then a week later the next shitcoin, and a week later the micro caps, and suddenly there's this massive floor in the entire market. And I'm like, it's got to be a handful of the same people every cycle, and they're not going to change because they can run 10x's off that bottom, distribute, and rinse repeat. I mean, why would they not? And that was sort of my thesis last year in April and May when we were loading up on shitcoins, and we're just thinking they're going to pump it. We can see them on the chart. They're buying huge amounts. It will not go down from here. High probability.
Remember what I told you also is that there is OTC institutional flow. If they know they've got a sailor who's coming in to buy a couple 100 million of Bitcoin and we get a dump, what do you think they're going to do?
It's infinite bid. It's literally infinite bid.
Right. With the OTC big buyers, they need inventory. Flat out, they need to own physical Bitcoin. So they're going to be looking for physical coin on Coinbase. They're going to be getting inventory back. So that's like that bid, that infinite bid that's there, that's hidden. They know when the next $500 million order is coming in. They know when they're talking to people about, oh, this guy's getting in. Oh, Tesla's. They need inventory. It's just plain and simple.
Something else that's really interesting, that we absolutely didn't have in 2017, are the gamma effects on Bitcoin. We've got a booming options market now on Bitcoin, and places like Deribit, who were the first movers on Bitcoin, on Ethereum options, are seeing really, really large volume. So you've got a lot of people that are purchasing calls, and a lot of market makers that are having to hedge, actually selling those calls just due to how bullish Bitcoin is. So, even things like that are adding pretty much, are contributing to this infinite bid that we're seeing now on Bitcoin.
Yep, because a lot of that flow, options market makers, they're pretty much delta neutral. They're just transferring risk really to the futures market. So if there's big options buyers, it's not like these market makers are just getting naked short. They're turning around and hedging the options with futures or spot. So the buying, it's not stopping with them. It's flowing through to the spot and futures. So it is length that's being added. Now, sure, there's some people who are like, all right, I'll sell the $100,000 call for 10 grand against some of my spot holdings because what the fuck, I'll sell some $110,000 Bitcoin. But still, most of it is delta neutral, and the liquidity providers are getting in there and hedging the deltas of those trades.
So, just a while ago, Colin was talking about how earlier, in 2020, you could see the pumps on the charts. It was just the writing was on the wall. For anybody that was experienced, you look at the charts and you could just kind of see what's coming. An interesting point I want to make right now, especially to the people that think that, it's going to be Bitcoin only, that, Bitcoin is going to outperform altcoins. If you look at a lot of these charts versus Bitcoin, I think that same writing is on the wall. I will say at the end of January, I started, thinking to myself, early February, maybe are we in the latter phases of this? Is this maybe like belief? Is this thrill? And of course, there's market cycles that exist within market cycles. Each leg of a market cycle has its own miniature market cycle. And of course, towards the beginning of February, we had probably gotten pretty euphoric. We'd made great gains over a 1 month period of time. And that's why we see, some of these altcoins pulling back right now. But at the same time, when you look at some of these charts versus Bitcoin, it really does look like to me that, some things are setting up to make 5-10x moves versus Bitcoin, which would be incredibly impressive to see.
We've seen a little bit of it. Like, how about Cosmos the other day, Atom, which all of a sudden, like someone lit a rocket under its ass. And partly, to me, the Bitcoin chart started to look really good with a lot of open air above. And it's one of those cases where all of a sudden it starts to perform against Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going higher as well. And you get these fucking moonshots where it just decides to put on 50%, 60%.
I mean, that is fucking alt season. Like when you get down to it, that's alt season, because people, looked at January and of course everybody probably did pretty well if you had any kind of exposure to the altcoin market. And I didn't even think it was going to be like this serious. And this got me really excited. Like you could buy ghost chains, you could buy Dogecoin. It didn't matter what you bought. It didn't matter if you were in the future of finance. Everything did really well, and which is just a testament to the amount of just new retail interest in these altcoin markets. There's a strong unit bias problem with Bitcoin right now, where you've got these new market participants, they're coming into the market, they're seeing Bitcoin at $50,000. And that's just, owning one Bitcoin for the vast majority of people is such an unachievable thing at this point in time. So they come in and they look around and they say, well, shit, Bancor's $3, or $4 now. I'm going to buy some of that, or even with Ethereum, well, I could buy maybe one Bitcoin, but instead, I think I'm going to buy 20 Ethereum or however many Ethereum equal one Bitcoin right now. And I do think some of that is going to lift some of these other things up as well.
That is the human nature. There was that cycle. I remember that trend at the end of 17 into 18 when the best performers for that last stretch were all coins under a dime. And all of a sudden, all the coins under a dime were literally just, multiplying. And
it was crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. But like a day like today, BNB, Binance Coin, and I've decided to wear this for the chart today. Binance Coin, one of the most valued token in crypto, is up 35%. It's put on billions of dollars of cap today. And
oh my God, it shows no signs of stopping.
It's insane. That's flow.
That's insanity.
I was just looking at this too last week, and we were talking about like, how the fuck did we miss this, boys? I was like, we're on stream. I'm like, that was the easiest weekly SR flip in the history of the world. You got Binance Smart Chain, not a secret, kind of cooled down. Pancake Swap waking up. It's the hottest thing right now outside of right along with AVAX, all these alternate chains, and that's what we've been talking about a lot. Bullish on anything that can offer you something that Ethereum is offering you for less fees. And suddenly you see this exchange, and there's a few others.
And you're right about that. Ethereum's become a whale's playground. It's not friendly for the little guy anymore. And they keep saying, well, we have these level 2 scaling solutions. They're going to be coming online soon. But the reality is there's a lot of people right now that are seeking ways to participate in this money game. They're moving over to Binance Smart Chain. When I originally messed around with Binance Smart Chain, the bridge wasn't very good. It was very difficult for me to get liquidity to Binance Smart Chain without actually using Binance Exchange as an intermediary. But now there's decentralized ways to where you can actually move some liquidity to Binance Smart Chain, and you can participate in the yield farming, the AMM trading, all of that stuff that the big boys are on Ethereum. You can get in there and do that with a smaller account size. And it's a lot of fun. If you guys haven't messed around with this DeFi stuff, it's certainly interesting. And there's so many ways to play it, where you can yield farm and you can stake and you can vote on things and steer, the direction of these protocols. Super interesting.
Look at Pancake Swap.
That's insane.
Cake.
Dude, I sold the bottom on all of my Binance Smart Chain shit, like the literal fucking bottom. So I'm kind of butthurt about that. I should have stayed over there because, damn, look at some of this stuff. I've really missed out on a huge opportunity.
I've sold some bottoms this year. I won't lie, but look at these. This is for anyone who's ever like, what the hell is this Chaos PRZ? It's really simple to draw. You get a hang of it. You basically just have to the right low that marked the bottom before breaking out, and then the main high of a consolidation, and then you just have this 4669, this 877 fib.
What does PRZ stand for?
Potential reversal zone. So
Okay.
it's a terminology borrowed from Harmonics, and you see those weird sort of see if I even draw one up. I don't know where to find them. Actually, this kind of thing where you see like those on guys' charts, right? Not drawn properly, obviously, but that's Harmonics. So basically, in this case, all I did is you take this consolidation. At the time, price is just hanging out there, and you're just thinking, okay, where, if we break from here, where are some nice pie in the sky targets? That's how I use this thing. And you just say right, left, and then look what you come up with. And the first consolidation, like right through the chaos zone.
So really nice targets there. Super accurate.
And that's the cool thing, right? Is that it just shoots these and they're sick targets. You're like, wow, I don't know if it's ever going to hit that. But then it just smacks it. And, the same thing here, just basically stop this thing in its tracks. And the really sick thing is, we don't have it on this chart, but if you ever have a bearish chart and it has like a big market structure sort of breakdown, you can actually use these to find bottoms. So like, just say you have like a big breakdown and then you could just like draw it from here. And I use that interestingly on Atom, and then here's your bottom. Like it's uncanny, dude. This thing's freaky.
So we're looking at that's a 4.66 and then an 8.77 extension.
4.669. So I can pull it up here. Anyone could like screen grab if they want to play with it. Takes some practice. And as you can see on one of my Bitcoin charts, I'll pull up, there's a bunch of ways to draw them, and that bothers people. They're like, well, which one's the real one? And you just kind of have to play. And the most accurate ones I find are in the consolidations during an uptrend. And you just grab this and you kick out, oh, that's our next leg. That's our next leg. And it hits a lot.
That's incredible.
It's really cool. Yeah, it's a weird video. The video that kind of put us onto it didn't even really talk about charts. I actually don't know where that translation came in, but it's all this like Faugenbaum constant, and chaos theory. It's weird stuff, dude. But I just know, So here for fun on the Bitcoin Weekly, I just drew up a few chaoses just to see where they align, and you get some confluence on a few right here. You're like, oh, that's probably a stronger level, 80 to 90K. We're actually at one right now on Bitcoin, kind of held us up at 50K. And the ultimate fib extension from the last cycle is $343,000.
Oh my God. What if?
It is what it is. Like, I'm not going to say like, I think it's going here, but that's what my chart says. That wouldn't be weird. That would align with all the TA I do all the time. And it would be higher than everyone thought. Even you guys, super bullish. 100K,
I can't even
200K.
Imagine. I can't even
right?
imagine.
You're thinking about 200K, and this shit always blows your mind, right? Even at 10K, we're like, oh, maybe we'll go to 15.
That's an important point though, because nobody really knows how hard something's going to run ever. It's certainly at the beginning of 2017. Like I had lower 5 figures in this game, and I had no fucking idea that my life was about to change. Like I had no clue. I thought I was going to get 2-3x of my money. I was going to be able to get my then girlfriend an engagement ring. And then I was going to, be able to move forward in life, and I had accomplished something. I barely kept any of the money I made in 2017, by the way, but the experience that I had there, of seeing that little turn into that much was something that was truly incredible. And it's something I want to mention too, because, a lot of guys came into the 2021 alt season when that started early January with a decent amount of money, right? Because, you got some people that played DeFi Summer really well. And those people came into this season, as whales, really. And then these same whales, they see they're up 5x on that balance they're already kind of impressed with, and they start thinking like, and it's not even a matter of just how much, it's a matter of just the amount of money. It's not like a percentage thing. You look at the amount of money there and you start thinking like, holy shit, like I don't deserve this much money. Like this has got to be the top, right? This is unbelievable. But you have to remember that you entered the game with an incredibly large stack of money. Do you think that same guy, or that another guy that came in, was in the same projects as you were, that started with $3,000, that now has $10,000, $11,000? Do you think he's feeling like he doesn't deserve that yet? I don't quite think so. So, a lot of people say, oh, you're euphoric now. But I would argue that, euphoria is when that guy that had $3,000 at the beginning of an alt season, finds himself with $150,000. And he starts thinking, if I could just get a couple more X's on this, I could be a millionaire. That is a true euphoria condition. So I'm starting to ask myself, especially seeing just how bullish Bitcoin continues to be, how bullish Ethereum continues to be, how many more multiples are out there left on the table? It's silly to call top. You really just have to grab the bull by the balls and hold on for dear life. And as Colin said earlier, nobody can call top here. No one. I don't care. I've been doing crypto for 8 years. I can't call the top, not even close. It's an impossible task. So the only way you can actually make it out alive here is by selling on the way up, little by little. It's averaging out. It's the same concept as you can't call a bottom. So what's the most effective way to buy a bottom? Well, dollar cost averaging, of course. So if you do want to be an investor and you do want to make it out of here alive, as I've said before, you want to be moving from higher risk to lower risk, and maybe that lower risk is moving from altcoins to Bitcoin steadily. Maybe that lower risk is moving from your shitcoins to Ethereum steadily. Maybe that's moving from whatever to stables steadily. But you've got to continuously move from higher risk to lower risk to protect yourself and to be able to actually see any of this money at the end. Because trust me, if what happens, like if we actually have this, crazy fucking alt season, if all of these charts versus Bitcoin continue to look as bullish as they do now, and we see some explosive upside, and you find yourself with an absolutely absurd amount of money, a number that you couldn't have even imagined in your wildest dreams, the reality is that you're probably not going to walk with that amount of money. So you always have to be thinking to yourself, how do I make it out of here alive? How do I actually change my life? I've talked about this before. Changing your life isn't retirement. Changing your life is putting your bills on auto pay. Changing your life is buying, your long-term girlfriend an engagement ring. Changing your life is paying off your student loans. Don't think that, hey, I'm not leaving until I'm worth $5 million and I'm retired. That's crazy fucking, that's insanity to even think that. Maybe you are going to get $5 million and retire or something like that. Probably not, especially if you have $10,000 or whatever right now. But, you have the ability here to change your life. The stage is set. More people in the world right now are traders than ever. I mean, trading has become the most sought after, desirable profession. If you go to TikTok, there's Zoomers all over the place. Look at my charts, this, that, cousin crypto, right, is out there killing the game because he got on the wave. He got in early. And you've got this whole new generation, this new wave of people that last alt season, they weren't of age to do this. They, or to have interest in this. And their whole generation has been cooped up inside for an entire year now. And they've become professional traders. They've gotten on Robinhood. They've learned how to respect the pump because a lot of these stocks have made them absurd amounts of money. So you've got literally battle-tested Zoomers coming in right now, that are just pounding these altcoins, pounding Bitcoin, pounding Ethereum, but sell a little bit on the way up. If you have an opportunity to make one of those life-changing decisions, go ahead and take advantage of it, because trust me, as somebody that had life-changing money at the end of 2017 that ended up losing most of it, I just look back at that moment and I'm so thankful for the experience, because hey, I'm back, baby. But back with a better attitude, back with a plan, right? Yeah. If I just had a plan back then, for years, I suffered every day waking up thinking, what if I had paid my mortgage off? What if I had paid my car off? What if? You don't want to live with that for years when this is all said and done. Trust me, it was a really, really difficult experience to do.
It was a long bear market. And a lot of people that I hung out with during the bull disappeared, or they stayed out, or they sold the second they hit break even back, earlier in the last year. And, and I was one of the few that stuck around. I said, fuck it. I'm going to go sign up to a trade school. I'm going to learn this shit. I'm in. I'm too passionate about this stuff. I'm too fired up about it. And I see where my desk is, back where I was, where I'm headed if I quit. And I don't want to cap my life at that salary. It was a decent salary. It was a teacher salary. It was not awful. And I loved the job, but I just said no. Once you've opened Pandora's box, and it was dark, man. I'll tell you, at the start of last year,
it was dark.
January of 2020, my portfolio hit a rock bottom. It has not been lower since, but it was pretty much where I started in 2017. Now, I pulled some out. I did pull some out at the end of 2017. I paid off my debts. Like, I had a good year, but I watched 3 times that, turn into less than what I originally started with. It was dark, and thousands of % return in 2020. And that's not from luck. That's not from, necessarily like catching a lucky break. I mean, it was a grind. It was hard work. It was patience. It was process.
People discount that, people just think that, people come into crypto and they get lucky, but the reality of the situation is that the guys that are out there making it, are putting in a lot of work and a lot of effort, to educate themselves, to keep an eye on the markets. I'm a chart watcher. I've got to admit it. It's not even because I'm nervous. It's just because I love it. That's my favorite programming, is watching a chart. I'd rather watch a chart than watch, any TV show, because it's just amazing.
I know. I'm really, through this wedge too on Bitcoin, especially, like, I was just like, I'm set for either way, but I couldn't look away. I was agitated this weekend. I was just like, go on, even that, and I stayed off the leverage. I was like, fuck that, because I know how that's,
When we were breaking out last night, I was in my bed. It was like 1:30 p.m. and I was laying on my side, with my cell phone, just watching Bitcoin, and I was so fucking tired, but I couldn't go to sleep because I was so glued to my phone
with your flashlight.
Yeah.
With my flashlight.
It's bad, man. You ask my girlfriend, I'm just laying there. It's like 4 a.m. She wake up. I'm like, I hope she's not awake, just judging me right now. She's like, really? 4 a.m., 5:30. She's super chill. Like, she's down, but like, it's just kind of like the people around me have noticed. They're like, dude, you're really glued to your phone right now. I was like, we're coiling. Just leave me alone. There's no trend right now. I need a trend in my life.
Ooh, imagine maybe.
Yeah. It was, but on the point of paying yourself along the way, this is actually a thing we're going to be touching on our newsletter. So if you guys ever want to read that, we put it out weekly at Tuesday morning on at Real Hero Labs on Twitter, and our newsletter on HeroLabs.io. Bottom right, you can sign up for the weekly. It's free. And one of the themes we're going to be talking about is endgame. Not end game in the sense that we're assuming people want to exit this market ever. I mean, I think it's going to be a big 10 years, but end game, for the cycle, what is your goal? Getting that stuff in line. And I don't really subscribe to the idea of like, here's my, mega goal, and I'm just going to cut my entire everything at this level, and that's it. I'm really against big decisions. Big decisions create a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure creates a lot of emotion. And then you're fucked, and you freeze up, or you overreact, and then you FOMO back in, and that's the top, and you get dumped on. Like, partial, patient decisions, paying yourself at certain objectives. That's why I love this Chaos PRZ, because it's a pie in the sky. If you ever hit it, you're always in profit, good profit. And I did that through this, through here. I consolidated a lot of my positions, and I had a lot of emotions about it. I was like, fuck, what if this one, like coins I'm super bullish on, and I'm selling them to cash, because I said, okay, I've just set a new milestone. I've locked myself in to what's been an incredible year. I mean, the first 2 months of this year almost met like, a good chunk of all of last year, just because I can move with size and conviction. When everything's pumping, you're like, well, this just SR flipped. I'm gonna like really ape into that with some size and just watch it because it's gonna go. And then, so this has been happening, and I hit the cash button here, and I just said, look, if we're topped, we're topped. I don't know. I think there's a chance we might roll down a bit, shake some people out, or buy stop 50K, we're back in. And in doing so, I've consolidated myself back into Bitcoin, which at this point, I think I said to myself, if we break up from here, I don't know that I want to be in 25 different altcoins, which I was for a little bit there. So
the one thing that I think could help some of the traders out the most here is the fact that if you're using leverage, it's something Messi talks about. You've got to understand that if you're using leverage to trade altcoins, if you're trading these altcoin futures, I think FTX, best exchange out there. I can't use it. I'm in the US, but the derivatives, the futures you can trade on the altcoins there are extremely powerful, but they're also extremely dangerous. You need to understand that if you're using high leverage on alts, you need to like double or triple that leverage number. It's almost like if you're trading with 10x leverage, think about it as 30x, because those things, not only do they don't have nearly the liquidity that Bitcoin has or ETH in those markets, but these things fucking move ridiculous amounts in a 15-minute time bracket. So even scarier is if you are using crypto as your collateral that you're posting to trade these alts on leverage, you're almost just burying yourself. Because if you're long, the value of your collateral, let's say you're using ETH as collateral and ETH goes down 20%, the value of your collateral in your account that's backing your trade is going down 20%. The price is going down. You're losing on everything. It is so dangerous. The one thing I would say is, as we're moving higher here, if you've been long and you've been making money, you need to be decreasing that leverage. The last thing you want to do is be maintaining that same sort of leverage, 10x leverage, after we've moved up so dramatically. And then you see like what Adam did the other day, what Sushi did the other day. Literally, they dropped 30 to 40% in 15 minutes. You would lose your whole gains from your whole move before it 5x'd, because these levered instruments are dangerous. They're potent. You've really got to manage that carefully.
Yeah, I mean, look at Filecoin here. I mean, the futures on Filecoin, it's an altcoin. It's going to move with, velocity when it goes. I mean, the thing already pumped.
I mean, if you're on leverage with that shit, you got blown the fuck out. I mean, there's no way. It doesn't matter if you were long, if you were short. I mean, you were wrong.
Well, okay. Now, sir, I will say on Friday last time on the stream, we had this setup. Actually, somebody requested it in the chat. It was a 6 setup. Somebody said, "Oh, check out Filecoin. We got consolidation across here. We had a bullish market structure, and it was right around here." And I said, "Look, guys, we're going to drop this. We're going to drop this little fib. If we can snipe an entry in this reload zone, if we can risk to these lows, if we can then stretch this out to 4 or 5 to 1, let's trade it." And I actually traded. I have this thing where I don't actually trade the shit we talk about, and I always forget. And I say, "Oh, guys, I forgot to trade it." I actually traded Filecoin and closed it, and then I laughed the next day because I mean, this was the washout. It was like everyone's done. And I remember thinking, so I closed 50% because that's what I do on the 4 to 1, and then it's like I'll just move stop loss to break even, and then it's like cool. If we moon, we moon. So I actually did get washed on the stop loss, and I remember setting it thinking, maybe I should just close it here. It's a couple grand. Like I'll just take that, and it was like, no, play follow your plan. And the next day I just laughed. I was like, holy fuck, man, that thing dumped $15.
Oh yeah, some people, because people like were drawing that resistance there. They were like, oh, we broke above the resistance. Let's get gig along, and then they just got nuked.
Oh yeah, no, and the funding was up. Like that's the other thing. I'm looking at this. I'm like, oh, do I really want to ride this? I'm paying like $200-300 funding every 8 hours. And then it just gets washed and funding resets. So
that's something.
On that note, having just started switching over to FTX for some of my futures, I got to say their funding rates are so much better on altcoins. Not that we're kind of talking about don't trade altcoins.
Doesn't FTX have hourly funding?
Yep.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Is that why? So it's just cheaper because it's hourly?
Well, you have technically, in theory, that's what Sam and company, that is their theory, that it is more efficient to do funding hourly, plain and simple. I think we're seeing that play out, that yes, it is indeed more efficient. But it's funny you say that, Daniel, because some of the ridiculous funding rates on these other exchanges, that's great for the pros. For the pros with capital, right? If they've got Bitcoin that they can post and they can go take advantage of those monster funding rates and
go delta neutral and just free money all day, every day.
It's literally insane, pretty much. I mean, literally insane. I think that's going to be one of the things that attracts more institutional money. I know it is, but institutional risk capital is going to come for that shit when in the traditional markets, there's fucking 0% interest rates, zero yield on everything. So,
Colin, can we take a look at the BNT chart versus Bitcoin? I think this would be a cool moment because guys, the target for these streams is about 1 hour. That's a rough target. We of course some days it might be 2 hours, some days it might be 1 hour and 10 minutes. But the target's about an hour. Every stream, I do want to at least talk about some kind of setup or some kind of play. You guys have seen me talking about Bancor recently. For those of you that don't know Bancor, they actually invented the automated market maker. They are the originators of that. Bancor was one of the largest ICO events of all time back in 2017, 2016, I think. And it's really interesting, because Uniswap came in and Uniswap, of course, took the automated market maker mainstream. But Bancor is actually back with a vengeance, and that's something that few people realize. Bancor has $650 million worth of liquidity now, and Bancor has several distinct advantages relative to Uniswap. One, the fees are actually set through governance, and we can set full fees by every pool. So in many instances, it's actually cheaper to trade on Bancor. Another advantage of Bancor is liquidity providers can come in and provide one-sided liquidity. And after 100 days on these whitelisted Bancor pools, you are actually 100% insured against impermanent loss, which is one of the biggest issues as a liquidity provider in the market making game. So for example, like, with Uniswap, if I'm providing liquidity versus or for Ethereum versus something else that maybe doesn't perform as well as Ethereum, my upside is actually muted there, which makes it really difficult. And also, when I'm a liquidity provider, I have to come in and I have to accept that not only am I going to be exposed to Ethereum and the upside and downside of Ethereum, but I'm also going to be exposed to the asset that I'm paired against. So being able to come in and provide one-sided liquidity is huge. One of the really interesting things Bancor does is when you provide one-sided liquidity, the protocol actually mints the equivalent Bancor to match against your position. And as people come in and people put their own Bancor into that liquidity pool as one-sided liquidity, the protocol actually burns Bancor and keeps that liquidity ratio constant. So the actual supply of Bancor is elastic, and the liquidity of Bancor is elastic, which is a really cool concept. And now, Bancor Vortex is, of course, the talk of the town right now. Bancor Vortex actually allows you to come in, provide one-sided liquidity on your Bancor, and then to actually use your VBNT, which is voting Bancor token, to as leverage on the platform. So I could use that VBNT to purchase more Bancor and then amplify, leverage yield farm. I could use that VBNT to purchase Ethereum and then take that Ethereum and go buy shitcoins. I could take that VBNT, and use that to buy Ethereum and then go on Aave and lend out that Ethereum. But it really opens the doors to a lot of possibilities there. And when I'm looking at, Bancor versus Bitcoin, Bancor versus Ethereum, it really is an impressive chart, in my opinion, especially if you consider like the weekly timeframes. And not only that, but when you look at the value of Bancor, somebody that's, has the ability to provide one-sided liquidity, cheaper fees, that cures impermanent loss relative to the value of something like Uniswap, for example, which is trading at almost $6 billion market cap. I'm looking at Bancor with a fully diluted valuation of $400 million. And I can't help but think to myself, like, this might be a dark horse. This might be the value buy of the century. But we'll pass it to Colin now, who could talk about the chart a little bit. Colin? RT?
Looks like you got some audio issues, RT.
Did he drop out of the stream, perhaps? And the thing that's open is the chart? Okay. Well, maybe I can pull up the chart then, and I can, yeah, and I can broadcast this. Okay, so I'm going to do this. Give me one moment to actually get this switched over. It's somewhere in here. Aha. Here we go. So, just to go over a couple of the indicators that I have here, I've got my own proprietary volume indicator that I wrote. That's kind of a mixture. It shows OBV down here as an oscillator, so it oscillates between positive and negative. And then also it actually highlights volume conditions, which are statistically significant. And then volume conditions that are below a certain sigma threshold actually just come across as white. So I've got a lot of bullish indications here, and this is the Bancor versus Bitcoin chart on the weekly time frame. So very high time frame here. And these guys certainly, if you look over the years, Bancor was not a very good bet versus Bitcoin. It's just dumped and dumped and dumped and dumped. And, these guys were ahead of their time. Nobody was really ready for the automated market maker yet. And we didn't have the amount of users on Ethereum. We didn't have DeFi to leverage all of this stuff that they were building. So I do believe, as the OGs of the automated market maker, that there is serious room for appreciation on this chart. If you can just see this diagonal that I've drawn here, you can see this kind of wedge structure that we're in right now. And if Bancor can just manage to get outside of this wedge structure, I do think that there's a significant vacuum above the current price, for Bancor to explore. We've got bullish cross up on our Willy here, which is my favorite momentum indicator. As you can see, the last signal was very good as well. And then this typically does provide me with pretty good signals, especially on higher time frames. We've got SCMR, which is the trends indicator that I use. You can see that, we have green candles right here and red candles when there's a downtrend, has gone to green now on the weekly time frame. So there could be serious upside for Bancor relative to Bitcoin in the, I would say, medium term. I would expect this alt season to continue to last. And because of that, and also because of the valuation of Bancor relative to automated market makers that are, extremely inferior to Bancor, I definitely am thinking that we could see maybe $20, $30, $40 BNT. And that wouldn't even be something that would be, too absurd.
Yeah, let's pull up the USD chart. Sorry guys, I stepped away.
Over to Colin. He's back.
Yeah, I stepped away for like 30 seconds to use the bathroom. I was like, we're gonna run late today. Let's do it. Look, oh my God. Okay, so yeah, just as you were talking, I was just like, oh well, fuck it. We'll check out the USD chart. That Bitcoin chart looks really good, by the way. I was drawing it up while you were talking earlier. I agree. I think it's just flipped bull. It's it's on a green candle day. Can I get a pullback? I'll probably look for a pump chaser zone, whatever we can get. But I want to get a little. I'm going to start small and just grow that position through dips because I'm hearing everything you're saying. It makes a lot of sense. And we're seeing these swap protocols blow up. They're all vertical. And, in a certain view, this one it's gone parabolic. But the Bitcoin pair is a whole different beast. So, taking this full range and kicking out those chaos PRZs we talked about, what is our pie in the sky for next stop? It's looking pretty good. I mean, it's $10 and $20, $11 and $20. And
hey, this kind of reminds me of a play that I went through a similar thought process and it worked. There are some, it's crazy to say like legacy DeFi names, but you're talking about Bancor and I'm thinking to myself, well, how about ZRX, right? One of the most widely used, like DeFi protocols out there.
TRX, Kyber.
Kyber.
Yeah, there's certainly many of them.
Yeah.
It's funny because they all just died, right? They weren't even necessarily called DeFi back then. I was in the Kyber ICO in late 2017, and it was like, okay, cool. It's a fun project. It's an atomic swaps, it's all this stuff, but nobody cared about back then that much. It was the DEX, but I mean, they just launched their IDO last week. Was it ID? Everest ID came out on Kyber. Thing like 6x out of the gates. I mean,
well, yeah, there are. It's like those teams. Daniel's talking about Bancor, and they were the first. They were super smart team, the first with the AMM. It's like ZRX and Kyber. They were also kind of firsts.
We're talking about things that are now the backbones of DeFi.
Yeah.
You might even not know that you've used Kyber, but if you've used an aggregator like Matcha or 1inch, the likelihood is that you were probably routed with 0x or Kyber at some point in time. If you guys are using limit orders on Matcha, for example, you're using 0x protocol.
Yep. So it is. And ZRX the other day when it just fucking went apeshit and mooned, it like was up 80% and rallied to $2.40, just literally shot out of a cannon, because it announced that they raised an additional $15 million for the dev team from a group of investors. And like, you see this, it's like, holy shit, these guys have been around. They are smart as fuck. We all use it. We might not even know it. Okay, it's undervalued. Let's reprice this like in 5 minutes. And you see some crazy stuff. So it's part of the thing about really smart and great experienced dev teams. And
that's gotta be my favorite part of the bull market, is that news doesn't even have to be big news. We used to joke about the new website, 10x pump, new rebrand at the end of 2017, but it wasn't like, okay, there's a new website, now it's worth more. It was just that new website and that announcement drew 100,000 people's eyes to it. And then, of course, it's the same promise, right? Future of finance, this product's going to be big. You get that narrative going. If they deliver on their promises, this is going to go 20x, right? And you get everyone talking, and then it just booms. And it's my favorite thing about bull markets, and it's why you see a lot of these teams saving up any kind of announcement or news for a good rally.
Yeah, and one of the really interesting things about Bancor as well is just how deep the liquidity is. It's absolutely a whale's playground. Right now, if I had 1 million Bancor tokens, now that's representative of $4.3 million, okay? I could actually swap that 1 million Bancor to Ethereum with less than 4% slippage, which is extremely impressive.
That is. Jeez. I've used Bancor before, like in 2018, just passively for like Block Party and a few other tokens. But is it an Ethereum transaction? Like, do you have to pay $50 fees over there too?
On Bancor, yes. Now they are actually working with Arbitrum, which I think is a level 2 scaling solution for Ethereum, and they're doing some cool things with them. But for right now, Bancor remains entirely on level 1. They have hinted that they've got some top secret gas optimizations coming soon that should even make that level 1 experience a lot more favorable. But yeah, definitely exciting nonetheless. Really quick, I just wanted to note as well that Kyber doesn't have as deep of liquidity as Bancor, but Kyber is also a highly liquid token. When we're looking at some of these legacy DeFi plays, I can actually sell $1 million worth of Kyber for less than 10% slippage, if I'm using an aggregator, depending on what I'm selling it to.
That's enough.
You know what?
I think that's enough for most things.
How do you now love crypto when you're feeling good when you can sell your position for 10% slippage? In the old world, 10% return was, you'd be fucking pulling teeth to get it. It'd be tough. And here you're hoping that you can get out with less than 10% slippage.
Right.
Just a 10% slippage with a 4% fee.
It's amazing.
And, paid in Ethereum of gas, but we didn't get to slip much. Now that's my shill of the day. Colin, do you have a shill of the day?
I do. Well, yeah, I've got a few, but
if you had to choose one,
you mentioned
what are you the hottest
for sure.
on right now?
You mentioned layer 2 scaling, And so I was curious what your thoughts are on MATIC. I don't know that everyone realizes perhaps the gravity of their announcement last week, pivoting over to Polygon and really expanding sort of their scope of what they're going to be doing. And they're really putting themselves in the wheelhouse with Atom and Polkadot and this interoperability. And they're just parked in the pump chaser zone. It looks really good. It's a really strong trend. The last high came on higher volume, which rarely marks the top of a trend. If often often at the top of some kind of trend, you'll get exhausted volume on the last push up. So the fact that we're sitting in this pump chaser zone on this SR level after, this is versus Bitcoin, the USD chart is actually looking quite good as well. Sitting, similar kind of thing. Strong trend up, higher volume on the last high, sitting in the pump chaser zone. Actually, it's already bounced out of it, unfortunately, this weekend. I got some fills around 9 and 10 cents, but it's there, and if it's going to move, and that's going to be our chaos, let's take a look.
Now, what are your chaos targets, for MATIC? Because, we saw those outlandish targets on Bancor, of maybe $11, $20, which would certainly be something to see. How hard do you think MATIC could run, in a perfect world?
For this USD chart, it's pretty simple. You've got a big burst off the bottom, high volume, consolidating, through what I love to call the pump chaser zone, which is just where, I missed it. Well, I'm going to wait till it settles into that. We had that over the weekend. And so a continuation can simply be drawn with this chaos from the right of that, the low, back to the high. And that's going to spit out these crazy harmonic objectives that just smack. And it doesn't mean they'll always hit, but if they ever hit, I'm taking profit.
Wow, that second one's
myself
at 50 cents. No, more than 50 cents. Wow.
And I'm closing some here. It's not like I really have two strategies. You either sell half on a double or sell some portion on a double, get a free position. But if we get to these, it's not about calling tops. It's about if you're not going to pay yourself here, where are you going to pay yourself?
Right. It's just about having reasonable, yeah. Unreasonably reasonable, or reasonable, whatever you want to call it.
It looks unreasonable, but what it is it's consistent, right? So every time I hit a chaos PRZ, I get paid, and it's exciting for me because I get to ring the register. I get to go find some other shitcoin that hasn't pumped yet, or find a pullback on something that's not overextended. And I can do it consistently over time. Whereas if I'm like, well, I'll just sell, I always get, find it funny when people are like, oh, I'll sell at $1. Yeah, it's a big psychological number. It's way up here, but it's arbitrary. What is it about $1 in this particular case that's special, right? So I do try to find a consistent targeting system, and these things have been just crack for me the last 6 months. It's been great.
It's certainly been impressive, and just the strike rate alone.
Yeah, and even when they go past, I think often price has gone past, but let's look at something real quick just while we're here. Put this out on our newsletter, and this was insane. All of these hit at the same time, weekly views. So you had the altcoin perp. We'll start with.
Man, that was just going sideways forever.
Yeah, this thing, and this weekend, I don't think we need log. Okay, there we go. So this weekend, last week, look, we came right up, smacked it on the nose, closed just below. Clearly reacting to these things. And so you got this chaos PRZ came in on the altcoin perp. Cool, whatever. But then you go look at the DeFi perp. Smacked it on the nose, same week. This stuff's spooky, man. These chaos PRZs are intense. They are consistent. And if I told myself after this breakout that I would just chill and hold until here and that's where I'd pay myself, I would have held through this whole thing. No problem, right? And then you just know I'm going to pay myself here. Do we consolidate, pump chase zone, and continue? Do we continue whatever? But at least I got paid no matter what, and I can go find a new setup. So I love these things.
Yeah, that's quite impressive. And wow, look at that second level. Look at that second chaos PRZ for the DeFi perp. And the DeFi perp is primarily comprised of these large cap DeFi options. And even if we hit that. What is that? A bit over it, or about a 2x from where we're at right now?
Just under 2x. It's about 11.2 now, where that would be 19.8. So
but still, we're looking at a situation, where you are seeing a $1,000 Aave, for example. If that were to play out, and if Aave was able to perform and reach $1,000, that's, in my opinion, really setting the benchmark for some of these mid caps. And just how hard they can go and how high they can go. There's tons of shit out there right now that, might be a $50 million cap that's destined to become a $500 million cap project in the next 3 or 4 months. And it's outlandish. Yeah. It's crazy to think about, but it's not that crazy when you look at something like Aave that, has managed somehow to probably by then work its way to a $15 billion market cap. It just doesn't seem that much on a relative basis.
No, and can we talk about the impact that YFI might have on that? I mean, YFI broke into price discovery last week for the first time since kind of coming out on the scene back in September. And it's just put in this picture perfect bullish retest here. Nice volume breakout. Like this thing just looks like it wants to carry the entire Herein ecosystem and DeFi and all that. So keep an eye on YFI. It's going to be
By
great.
the way, guys, while you're here, we've got 400 people watching. We'd really, really appreciate if you hit that like button. We are going to be doing this every Wednesday. So, put that on your schedule. You can come back. You can expect the same content if you did enjoy it today. Before we finally wrap this up, I wanted to ask Rob if he's got a shill of the day or if there's something in particular that's on his radar, or if not, does he just have any concluding thoughts, et cetera?
Yeah, no, I do. I've got thoughts, and I guess I'll take you through a little bit of my thinking. I try to take a step back, and now we're seeing Bitcoin potentially here into some more price discovery, breaking above 50,000. It seems like Bitcoin is going to take the wheel here and lead the market. So then I'll think, okay, if Bitcoin is going to be the leader here, and we might see 50K to 60 to 70, and we're going to see some real volatility in Bitcoin, what is an alt that has been performing well during Bitcoin rips? Because if you remember, like in December, when Bitcoin really started to moon, alts were really pretty much down in USD. Most of them. They got hit so hard in Bitcoin terms that they didn't even experience any of that markup. So to me, and it's not really a shill, I've been tweeting about FTT since it was $4 and lower, but FTT is an alt that performs extremely well during Bitcoin rips. It, to me, is more like levered Bitcoin than everything. And, we joke that alts are levered Bitcoin, but not really. Some are, some aren't. But FTT is like levered Bitcoin because it rarely pulls back lately in Bitcoin terms when Bitcoin rallies. So it means that FTT dollar for dollar, percent for percent is keeping up with Bitcoin on these rallies, and actually it's been outperforming. So if you look like on a day like today and even last night when Bitcoin started to move, FTT immediately moves with it. So yep. That's kind of what I'm looking for here, because unless you've got history and you've been following these alts really closely, there's some alts that, depending on where they are in their Bitcoin pair chart, they could really be stuck in the mud for a minute. And it's like, I want to be sure I'm long Bitcoin here, and you can sell all your alts to get back into Bitcoin, or you can move into some alts or keep some of the alts that actually do tend to keep up with Bitcoin on these rips. So like FTT today, it's been Moon City. BNB also is one that's pretty similar. It has a lot of beta to Bitcoin.
Man, how hard is FTT going to run? Because Sam's really just running the game right now. And when I see that chart versus Bitcoin, like the possibilities are absolutely outrageous here. I think on an exchange token basis, FTT has enormous potential for upside.
I mean, you think about it, you've got Coinbase, which now is valued near $80 billion, right? And Coinbase has a different client base, it's a different kind of model, but FTX is just, they are a leader in derivatives globally. They're now moving really, they're attacking the US through their Blockfolio deal. Like, they are just on fire. And you think with Coinbase worth 80 billion, 100 billion, what is FTX worth? And Sam is a true crypto OG. He accrues value to his token. And he, even when they had an FTX equity deal, you could get in through the token, through FTT. So there is going to be major value accrual to FTT. It could be one of the most egregiously undervalued tokens in crypto. They are builders. Part of me wonders, like, we see BNB on a day like today up 35%, and FTT's, it's moving, it's up, but like FTT and FTX are accruing value on the DeFi side of things in other places, right? They're accruing value in DeFi through Serum, through Solana. They're such a big part of that. So you almost got to look at FTT, Serum, and Solana together almost equals BNB. And I think, like, personally, I'd feel that being long Bitcoin, being long Ethereum, and being long FTT, Solana, and Serum, that's like a pretty diversified bag that encapsulates DeFi, it encapsulates like true crypto exchange value, and then Bitcoin store of value, ETH, DeFi. Like that to me almost is like a well-rounded portfolio.
Unbelievable.
You can't put it past them to add things as well, right? So if you just look at what's on offer right now for FTT, you say, well, their exchange could grow X, their usership, their volume could grow X, and that would do Y for the price. But that's not factoring in the potential for him to just add stuff, right? Just purchase Blockfolio. I can't imagine FTT will have nothing to do with that. Yep. Swaps on there, trading on there, stock trading. And so when you have somebody who's proven themselves as an innovator, as a leader, and they're hungry to grow this thing, nothing's off the table. And so factoring in these unknowns, I mean, we're seeing it with Binance, I think, right now, as you said, is leading. And FTT, if that wants to echo, and then what do we get? We get KCS, we get OKB, we get Huobi token. I mean, they're a different echelon. I don't think they fit in necessarily. What we're talking about is Sam and some of the leadership he's showing. But as a trader, I just think, okay, exchange token week, what's next?
Can you? Hey, yeah, can you 1 hour, the hourly for BNB next to FTT? I think you'll see that FTT probably has 10-15%.
No, well, more interesting is you can actually type in on TradingView, FTT USD divided by BNB USD, and then we can have this artificial ratio chart of the FTT token to the BNB token. I'm really curious to see what that looks like.
Yeah, we could do that too. Aligned, let's see, was it 2 a.m. FTT? Yeah, they kind of moved together, dude. They kind of moved together. I mean, they definitely moved together. I was just curious if one's leading, because if you can spot these things, dude, it's like
Binance Coin's leading today. Like it's definitely, you look at this almost like a cup and handle almost, but it's definitely extended above the previous high it made earlier in the week.
Relatively, yeah. Relatively speaking, it's definitely leading. I mean, you can, percentage wise, but they on a candle basis, they both jolted up out of this. I mean, candle for candle, 2 reds, 3 greens, 1 red, 5 greens. Like, they are on pace right now.
I mean, we're talking about billions and billions of dollars a day. Between the two of them, we're talking about over $50 billion of volume, right? Think about the fees they're
That's impressive.
It's nutty. And
so, what do we do here, Daniel? It's FTT.
Just type in FTT USD divided by BNB USDT and hit enter.
Yeah. Ooh. See, that would be Binance leading right now.
Right. Like, FTT definitely outperformed at the beginning. Binance was almost stuck in the mud. It almost felt like there was something people knew, like, who knows?
It was weird. The Binance, the Bitcoin pair was dying for a while. I was like, I'm going to stay away until whatever. And then, of course, didn't look back. I forgot.
Yeah. But it really, like, BNB, and I think a big part of it is the DeFi piece with them. And they're doing allegedly big volume in total value locked and in their DeFi Binance chain.
That's an interesting thought, Because Sam went with Solana. It's a different token, different ecosystem. He's right there. They're going to compete.
DeFi value, is
but it may not
Solana.
Yeah, it may not run as far into FTT, perhaps, whereas Binance is building everything on BNB.
But if you got the Holy Trinity, if you got Serum, because there's been real value created there. But I think that we're seeing BNB has gotten the nod, and I would imagine it's from the Binance chain stuff, and it's powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Well, it's what we talked about. It's like anything that can do what Ethereum's doing right now, but offer it for 19 cents instead of $50 to $100. I'm actually excited now when I see a fee that's only $48. I'm like, oh, discount day. And that's ridiculous. Back in the summer, 15 was expensive. We'd wait back to get back to 3. It's not looking good. So when Binance comes out and they've done that, I think people are very comfortable overlooking the fact that there's some centralized aspects to that chain.
Well, the big thing
now,
big thing, Colin, is like no one can debate. Binance has the most real users of anybody. I mean, that is so powerful. You have millions of users that you're opening up the world of yield farming and of DeFi to these people who they might not even know about the Uniswap stuff. They might not be using Ethereum. One, they might be priced out of that market. They might simply not be able to pay those gas fees. But when Binance can open up that world to their millions of users, and it's just multiples cheaper to play, I mean, that's probably going to be a winning formula for a stretch. You know, they've got that's their edge here.
It might be an interesting time coming up here pretty soon to flip BNB to FTT, you know, based on what I'm seeing here.
Yeah. It's
did you see that? I had that up. I just saw Dan mentioned some random formula in the chat here. I'm going to just flip over to
that's actually not going to work in TradingView if you type that in.
Oh, is it not? Okay, yeah, it's negative whatever. But let's go look at that last one, because you're right. That's what I wanted to talk about here real quick, is that BNB USDT, it's like a Wyckoff throwback for the ages here. So is this pivot time for the FTT BNB tug of war?
It could be.
It's weird how it's really weird and fascinating to me how TA tends to just work this way. You're like, who the hell is trading these two against each other? Not really. But will this level have a reaction? Probably.
Well, gives you some introspection, at least.
You can even go a little bit deeper. You can create some, I mean, these derivatives markets are creating some amazing opportunities. You can get into a pairs trade like this, where let's say you are long spot FTT, right? And then against it, you're going to sell the same amount of dollar-wise of a BNB perp. And you can take advantage of these juicy funding rates, which gives you like already a little cushion on the pairs trade. So if you think FTT is going to outperform by 10%, and you're also structuring it where the short leg is collecting great funding, you can goose those returns and you can really create optimal pairs trades here.
That's some galaxy brain shit for sure.
I go cross-eyed. I'm like, Goose, you lost me, but I hear you. And every time I listen, I understand one more adjective that you throw in there.
But guys, you know, we've been here for about an hour and 20 minutes now. You know, I think that this has been a fantastic first episode. You know, once again, if you haven't hit that like button, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. But that is going to be it for our first episode of DeltaFi with RandomTask, Cryptomessiah, and Rob. So thank you so much for coming, and we will see you guys next Wednesday at 2 p.m. CST, whatever the fuck that time is for you, but we'll make sure to tweet about it so you remember.
Yep.
Absolutely. Asking about the Chaos PRZ, I've put the settings up about 4 times, I think, today. Most recently, about 7 minutes ago on the screen. So if you guys want to rewind, take a look at it. It's 4669877, and you just got to click the reverse button down
and
below.
if you do subscribe to the channel, you know, we are going to be at some point, hopefully in the near future, uploading a tutorial on how to use that. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on that.
And also,
I'm happy to do that. It's the right time for it.
Interact with us on Twitter. If you've got questions, you want to see stuff maybe for the next episode, certain charts, analysis, you know, hit us up on Twitter. We're at Real Hero Labs. We're always there. I mean, we're looking to talk shit. We're looking to look at these markets. So hit us up.
Yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised, actually, with my DMs the last few weeks. I got 3 really good ideas from guys that are coming in. You know, sometimes people are coming, tell me this, chart this for me. But a lot of guys are just sliding in like, hey, what do you think of this? And it's just like,
oh, wait, your DMs are open. Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah. I mean,
well, you guys know it. You guys
have a new viewership today, so I might have to be careful with that.
555. That is at RandomTask 555. His DMs are open, and he is waiting for you to send him something special.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay. Can't wait for that.
Okay, guys. Thanks for coming. It's been a pleasure. Until next time. Adios.
See you guys.
Take care, everybody.